Hi everybody, thanks for viewing this video again as we present on the fiscal plan for North Montgomery athletics and what that looks like over the next few years. So really, having a proper fiscal plan is essential really for the long-term growth and stability of our athletic department. With proper planning and money management, I think we can make sure that the future of our athletic programs and our student athletes are properly taken care of. If we don't ensure our future, we could easily set the department back many years. And so really, we must get creative in how we finance our department. Every year, it seems like funds tend to get harder and harder coming from the government. So we must look at ways to really become more self-sufficient, which this hopefully fiscal plan will address. And then by really becoming self-sufficient, we can address the needs of our department at will whenever we see fit. With this in mind, I propose using a mixture of budgeting methods that include the combination budget model as well as the partial budget model. And by using both of these methods, I believe it sets up our athletic department for success now as well as in the future. We'll need to make sure we have a team in place that can adequately support these budgeting models, and we'll detail that here as the rest of the plan goes on. All right, so let's take a look at our philosophic considerations when choosing both of these models. So I really examined the current way our schools receive funding, and the state of Indiana is always adjusting the way schools receive money. Really, we used to be financially stable, with minimal concern. However, the current or whatever the economic downturn was many years ago, about 10 years ago, really affected how the government gave out money and how we as a school were able to get funds. And so that really put a burden on us as a school corporation. The legislature changed the way schools were funded, and it just seems like it just never really stopped. So with that in mind, I thought the mix between the combination budget and the partial budget would give us a nice, mixture of the two practices and would really help to create a sound and financial environment for the athletic department. It will begin to take less pressure off of our school system with having to fund our department. Now, really, I'm not advocating for completely removing school funds or removing our tax revenue from coming into our department. What I am saying, however, is that by complementing these revenues with the revenues our sports generate, as well as outside funding and help from our booster club, we can be better set up for the future. Maybe even help move funds to other areas of need. So when we look at the philosophy of outside funding, my philosophy obviously is we need the outside funds, or else I wouldn't have chosen both of these models. So the outside funding is going to be key in making sure these actually work and work the way they're supposed to. So with the setup of a master booster club that we would call the Charger Club, these people would be responsible for finding ways to pay for needs of our athletic teams and athletic programs. Ideally, this includes some parents of current student athletes, myself as the athletic director, as well as outside community members that are knowledgeable in how to raise funds. In my opinion, having parents head this up is not exactly the best way to go about it. I've seen where parents, they have kids in those sports and maybe the coach is not playing them or they're not getting what they think they should out of it. And so maybe their willingness to participate is going to decrease substantially, and we certainly don't want that. So we need community members, I think, on that are really going to head it up, know how to raise money, and go after it. I could also see this group seeking out much larger donation numbers under my guidance and with my help. I think as an athletic director, that's part of my job, is seeking what I would call corporate sponsors who are going to give substantial amounts of money. However, outside funding is going to be incredibly essential in making these budget models work. And if we can't do that, then we really can't use the combination and partial budget models. So one thing you look at with this as well in terms of fiscal planning is program expansion. And I believe that when the time is right, and if you have the right sport and the right amount of kids, that adding a sport can be a benefit to your program. By using these two budget models, we could look at expanding current program offerings if the numbers meet what we need. But we would have to, again, extensively run the numbers in order to make sure adding a program would be a positive for the athletic department and not a financial drain. Obviously, some sports make money and others don't, so we need to make sure that we are at least breaking even in some respects. But here's the great thing about these two models. With a booster club that is helping to support the department, the club could essentially raise enough funds to help start the program if needed. As the athletic director, I would also help raising significant funds to help cover any substantial costs with corporate partners. But you kind of look at it like a radio or a TV spot, right? They can't do the radio or TV show without sponsors for it. So in my mind, that's how we look at it as well. If we don't have enough sponsors that'll help cover some of the cost, well, then maybe it's not a benefit to our program at this time. Another area to look at, in terms of fiscal planning, is controlling the costs of programs rather. So obviously, it is important to control costs within any program, but I want to make sure that my athletic teams are funded appropriately and have all the necessary gear and facility space to be successful. Now, there's also has to be balance, obviously. So, in my mind, sitting down with each head coach and coaching staff, if needed, to determine what is needed would be a regular occurrence before each sports season. From that, we would determine the highest priorities and budget appropriately. And again, here's the great thing about using our combination and partial budgeting models. We can then make sure gear and anything else needed could be covered by some outside funding through our booster club. So again, you go out, the booster club goes out, says, I need to buy new uniforms for the soccer team. Would you like to donate X amount of dollars? And they're covered. I need new basketballs. I need this. I need that. They can help do that with the funds. We as an athletic department then could help budget appropriately and again, determine what is needed, what's the highest priority, what can wait a year, what can wait a half a season, those sorts of things. So in my mind, the combination of partial budgeting models really provide a lot of flexibility within the athletic department, within the school corporation, to use money as they see fit. So we take a look at donated money guidelines, and sponsorships by companies will be accepted by the athletic department without many guidelines for the corporation. We don't have many strict rules and policies in place for sponsorships. Any large or significant amounts of money donated by companies would have to be accepted by the board of trustees. These types of sponsorships could include, naming rights to our football, basketball, baseball, soccer, any of those stadiums and arenas. If we're going to name a field or court after something, athletic complex names, or any other major donation, and those are going to be board of trustee approved. But we would certainly seek those out because those are huge opportunities for us as a school corporation. A major donation would be defined by the athletic director, superintendent, board of trustees when we're sitting down and figuring all this out. And then finally, when you're looking at program participant fundraising guidelines, this is important. With our two budget models, the combination of the partial budget models, having athletes raise money within their sport would not be allowed. We just can't allow it. With the booster club asking for money from various companies around the area, we can't have more than one group of people asking the same businesses for money. This would create almost certain animosity amongst our local companies and could ruin the relationships built within the community. So we would rely solely on the booster club as much as possible. If we needed to take a look at a sport that maybe doesn't need as much help from the booster club and they want to do some sort of fundraising within their sport, a car wash or selling something, we would take a look at that. But I want to make sure the booster club is active in the community, because I think when you're active in the community, you're going to get people to come to your events and support and watch the people they are helping, I guess, donating money to. So that's and we want to make sure these people are busy and staying on task. So we would really try and make sure the booster club is the only group raising money, asking for funds, and try to limit fundraising guidelines. I think you got to make sure as an athlete and as a coach that you're focused on your sport and doing the best you can in that sport. So again, booster club would be the main source of funding for our teams, and we would minimize the participant fundraising. So thank you for allowing me to present this presentation for our fiscal plan. again, the combination of partial budgeting models I see really provide us the flexibility needed and would be a great benefit to our school corporation, our athletic department to have. Again, it's all about that flexibility, and I think they're going to provide that, and it's going to give our sporting teams a lot of ways to have what they need, stand out from the rest of the schools in our area and our conference.